Now let's turn our attention to the research scholarship. Similar to the leadership scholarship, I will go ahead and read the prompts and then highlight some of the main takeaways that you should consider as you are formulating your essay. So our essay prompt asks, in your own voice, describe your project so that someone outside of your discipline can follow your train of thought and someone in your discipline recognizes the methods and approach you are using to explore your topic. Include in your essay your motivation and interest in this work, what you and your mentor hope your work will contribute to your area of study, how you and your mentor work together to do this work, how this research, scholarly, or creative work enhances your education and the development of your future plans. And finally, explain the impact that receiving the award would have on your ability to benefit from doing this project. So first things first, let's look at the essay prompt's first component, which is asking you to describe your project so that someone outside of your discipline can follow, and also so that someone within your discipline can understand the methods. And the reason why this is the first component is because when we look at the reviewers, most applicants will have about 3 reviewers, 2 which will be from their area of study or very related to the major that the student is in or their project is in, and then we'll have 1 generalist reviewer. So this is someone that could be any of the faculty, anyone from our team, someone who is not necessarily going to understand the details of your project, but will be able to look at it and nonetheless grade it. So this is why it's important to balance the detail that you'll need to convey your project so that those specific reviewers can understand, but enough of the more general description of your research so that a generalist can understand kind of the logic behind your research, the big picture ideas, the main takeaways, right? So it's really important to balance that by not using too much jargon or if you do use words that are maybe very specific to your field, maybe some abbreviations, that you go ahead and explain those so that the generalist reviewer can follow your train of thought. And then on the next component for things to include in your essay, there's a lot of similarities to the leadership criteria. For example, in this first point, sharing your motivation and interest in this work. So how did you come into contact with this topic? Was there maybe an event you went to that really sparked your interest and then really motivated you to take on your own project within that interest of yours? Is there maybe like a personal connection? If you're perhaps studying a certain disease, is there someone that was close to you that encountered the disease and now you're really motivated to learn more about it? So really tell us what brought you to this work, and what motivation do you have to complete the 2 quarters of research that you will be getting support for. The next point asks about your relationship with your mentor, and how you're going to work together, right? So what's your mentorship going to look like? Are you going to meet every week? Do you plan to work on the same lab side by side? Are they going to be maybe more of just like a check-in reference for you? So really share what that dynamic is going to is going to look like, and just so that the reviewers understand the level of commitment your mentor will provide. And this is very similarly connected to the third point, how you and your mentor work together to do this work. So are they going to, for example, train you on how to do a certain procedure? Maybe if you are going to record some data from the brain, are you going to be trained on how to use certain equipment and things like that? So what kind of support will your mentor provide, maybe in gaining some of those skills? The next point is asking about what kind of gaps your research is going to fill. So here's where you can talk about what has been found so far in your area of interest, and maybe some things that you hope your research will contribute to, or some unanswered questions that you hope to answer at the end of your project. And then last but not least, very similar to the leadership criteria, we want to know what the impact of this award is going to be for you. And for the award of $5,000, is a pretty substantial amount, right? So is this going to allow you to, like we mentioned before, work less, spend more time in the lab, or maybe decrease some of the financial burden with housing? Maybe this will help you pay for rent, and give you some of that extra time to dedicate to your project instead of working, or maybe even go and travel to attend a conference. This really is up to you, but just showcasing that receiving this award will be beneficial to you in some way, and that maybe without this award, you would not be able to necessarily partake. So really highlight what this will do for you financially, and also looking ahead in terms of your career or maybe future endeavors that you want to partake in. This is going to really set you up well for graduate school. Is there a program that you're looking to apply? And getting involved with this research or publishing a paper with your project is going to be really helpful, right? And being a competitive applicant. So show us how this recognition as a Mary Gates Scholar and the money that's attached to it will really benefit you. And some of the evaluation criteria that your reviewers will be looking at specifically is listed here. So we'll kind of jump into some of that as well. The first thing is motivation of applicant. So what preparation do you have? Are there some trainings you've taken in the past that really equipped you to be able to use certain programs or certain equipment within your lab that will be helpful for your project, or maybe some classes that you have under your belt that are very much related to what you're going to investigate? And then potential for success. We see a lot of this criteria met by looking at the mentor's letter of support. So a lot of the times we want to see that your mentor believes that you have the preparation, that you have the skills necessary to be successful in your project. And then also within your own essay, reiterating like why you think you'll be successful. Basically advocating for yourself and what you've done in the past and how that's going to set you well for this project. The next point here, understanding of research. So we want to know that you have a level of understanding in terms of the research that has been done prior to what you're going to investigate. Give us a general idea of your field, the purpose of studying that, what are maybe some of the broader impacts that your research will have. Give us some goals, right, of specific things that you want to accomplish by the end of your project, who you're going to collaborate with, are you going to be part of a bigger team? And then also be specific with your methods, right? We want to see that this is realistic and achievable. So make sure to share those specific methods so that we understand that you have a concrete plan that you're going to work with. Next, we have quality and intensity of the experience. And this can really be showcased through the level of commitment you'll show in your project by how many hours you're going to do, kind of the support and resources that you will have to be successful. So you can share maybe how your mentor will give you additional trainings that you'll need, how many hours you expect to dedicate to your project, and how this will be very, very much helpful to achieve your goals that you have set for yourself. And then last but not least, educational and long-term impact. So this is very similar to the last part of the essay criteria. And so this is asking us to really understand why you want to do this research. How is this going to help you in the next thing that's coming for you after college? Are you going to keep growing your skills in academia? Are you going to, once again, like pursue a PhD or pursue another program? And this is really essential to build some of those skills or just build a competitive application. So let us know what you're doing now as an undergraduate student and as a Mary Gates Scholar, how that's going to really propel you forward in what's next for your career.